Welcome back, folks. Linda Dvorak is here. She is the president of GRF, and yesterday they held their monthly meeting, as they do every month. They hold a lot of meetings, but of course this is the open monthly board meeting. And welcome. Nice to have you here today.
Thank you.
Good meeting yesterday. Relatively short. It was about 2 hours and 7 minutes by our calculation. And a lot of topics were covered, but overall it was a pretty smooth meeting.
Yes.
It really was. Now, one of the things that you talked about during your general manager's report, you commented on the paddle tennis courts and the recreation master plan that was brought up a little while ago. I think one of the provisions on there was having them move to a different area. So you wanted to clear a few things up about that. You spoke about it yesterday.
Yes, over the past months, we've had a lot of criticism, both in letters to the editor and at committee meetings, that one, the golfers were driving this, and that is not correct. And two, that it was costing us too much money, and we were spending $75,000 on a study to determine whether or not we needed to move the paddle tennis. The paddle tennis courts cannot be saved where they are. They are, the way they were constructed, they will continue to crack in the same places. They don't make paddle tennis, pickleball courts like that anymore, even tennis courts. And the nature of our soil is such that it will continue to do this.
Right.
So when we knew that we had to replace the courts, even if we did it in place, it was going to cost the same amount of money to build them there as it would someplace else. So we were looking at moving them to the tennis area. And at that time, we said, let's have a consultant look at it and see if that makes sense, both from a standpoint of the soils and just in general the location. And we set aside $75,000 for that study. Shortly after that, we approved the money for the recreation master plan. And because we felt that the paddle tennis and pickleball would be addressed in that study as it was, we put the $75,000 on hold and never spent it and will never spend it. It will go back into the so-called general fund. And right now, after receiving that recreation master plan, I know in the plan it recommended taking over 2 tennis courts, but there were other issues that came into play, and one of those was the noise that is generated by pickleball because they use a hard wiffle ball. And so we looked at our options, and everybody agrees we need pickleball and paddle tennis courts, and we found a location below the lawn bowling that is only used by coyotes at this time, that is way more suitable for pickleball and paddle tennis from a sound standpoint, and again, the cost is the same whether we put it there or where it is or up at tennis courts. So this did several things. If we put it there, and it will be determined in the recreation master plan ad hoc committee meetings that are coming up, but it looks like that will be a very viable location for it. If we put it there, then we will not have to take any tennis courts, and we will be able to leave the golf where it is, at least for the time being, the chipping and putting area, or short game as they call it, over near the tennis courts, and we can moving it closer to the golf if we so choose at a later date. It doesn't have to be done immediately. It would have had to have been done prior to installing new pickleball paddle tennis courts by the tennis facility, because we would have taken over the short game area. Okay,
now you mentioned the over by the lawn bowling area, the one by Clubhouse 2, right?
Yes.
I seem to recall the paddle ball, the courts were built, they're only about 8-10 years old, am I right?
Those were tennis courts that were taken over.
Okay. All right, the ones that are over by the putting green area.
Yes.
Okay, so that was, I just recall at the time that they became the paddle ball when they opened, so to speak, or remodeled, we went down there and did a little segment on that. And to me,
Right.
that was about 8 or 10 years ago. But
Yeah.
at the time, I was fairly new here, so I probably thought they were just brand new. But I understand what you mean. You know, where the ground settles, an area that gets saturated a lot, and obviously around that area with the putting green, it needs to be watered and all. Obviously, you don't need that going on near
Yeah.
a paddleball or tennis court. So that happens, and you want to find a better place where you're not going to be dealing with the cracking issues all the time. So
Right.
that makes a lot of sense. Yesterday, you also brought up, under new business, a approval for a revised Director Code of Conduct.
Yes. As you know, the Third has been working on one, and we looked at it as well. We've had an ethics code of conduct, but we felt it needed to be updated, and the suggestion was made that we bring it in line with the CAI code of ethics. And so we had 3 of our board members work on this past month. The new part of this is spelling out the what will happen if a director should violate the code of ethics. So it really gives us the kinds of censure that we can impose on a director that may, you know, violate that, and,
Right.
and how we will investigate and you know, have a hearing, and it really makes it a lot clearer.
Yeah, which is important, and this will be closer or kind of exact what the CIA recommends.
Right.
Okay. Another thing that came up in new business is the 19 Restaurant Lounge is, of course, over at the Village Greens building.
Right.
And there has been something, you've been looking into putting a sign there, because right now, if someone drives around there and looking where they just want to go to that restaurant, which, by the way, has gotten excellent
Yes.
reviews, they may not know where it is. Now, it is in the Village Greens, but a lot of people may not know that, so there's been something to be looked into about where to put a sign just showing where the restaurant is.
Right, and we felt it was a reasonable request on the part of the restaurant owners. They are paying for the sign, and you know, we as directors lose sight sometimes of the fact that not everybody in the community knows as much as we do, and
Right.
visits all the areas. So it is conceivable that somebody would drive in there and not know where the cafe is. They might go to Clubhouse 2. They might. It just isn't. It isn't always as obvious as we think.
Right.
So we decided that since they requested that, it's only to our benefit for them to have that recognition, because if they fail, it fails our community. If they survive and move forward, and this helps them to survive, it
Right.
benefits us tremendously.
Yeah, it definitely does, and any restaurant owner will tell you that they want to be found. And as you just said, there are people that may not know where it is. There are people who are non-golfers but would like to enjoy this restaurant. It's not just
Right.
for the golfers or the people who use that building or that facility. It's for everyone, and to have it easily found kind of benefits everyone.
Absolutely, and very often realtors that don't live in this community or work regularly in this community take their potential buyers over to that building,
Yeah.
and it just highlights the fact that we do have a restaurant and lounge.
Right. Moving on, by the way, I just realized when you were talking about the code of conduct, I said CIA, it's CAI. There's no CIA that's involved with the board.
There might be, but
there might be. So I apologize. It's CAI. So
Right.
I misspoke. All right. Coming up, there's an event about elder abuse awareness from the Ageless Alliance, and they want to hold a community event. And you looked into that, about approving that.
Yes, we did, and we feel it's a very underreported type of abuse in the aging community, and that we need to make this aware. This problem, more awareness needs to be of the problem in our community, and so we are joining with them to host that seminar in June. I think it was June 20th, if I'm not mistaken, at Clubhouse 3. And it will be free to anyone who wants to attend. And the speaker for that is from UCI, and she's done work with us on the senior council, and so the senior summit.
Yeah, the senior summit addresses this a lot,
Right.
especially.
And she's been well received, and we feel she's a very dynamic speaker, and will be a good opportunity for our community to hear more about the problem.
Yeah, this is a huge topic, and as you mentioned, when it comes to the senior center, the senior summit they have every year, they often talk about it. I know that when we have every so often Marsha Wilson on from our social services, she'll have a guest every so often that talks about this, and it goes unreported a lot of the times. And to have this event about this awareness, I think, is a great thing to have, and you can't go wrong, getting out that message.
My understanding is that they have done this seminar in other locations, and it's been very successful.
Yeah, and along with that, you also talked about a couple of charity golf tournaments that raise money. One of them, the Memorial Tournament, and I think that goes on every year, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. And so you went ahead and improved those. And really, a lot of the committee reports were very straightforward yesterday. As I said, it was a short meeting. It was just 2 hours and 7 minutes, and got a lot of things done. And it was a good meeting.
Yep.
Yeah, it was. Well, if you want to see it again, we are going to replay it. We replay it twice. Actually, we replay it 3 times, but one was last night. So if you want to watch it again, it's at 1:30 tomorrow. And again, you can see there 2 hours and 7 minutes. Then we show it again on April 10th at 6 p.m. So you get a couple chances to see that. And as we always said, especially this time of the year, those committee meetings, especially the Budget and Finance Committee meetings, these are the times to be going to those committees, and as you go through the different versions of the budget, it's important.
Yes, if you don't go to these, then there's no changing the budget next year. So this is the time to be heard as far as what we spend our money on.
Definitely. Well, Lynn, thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be right back with more of Channel 6 News.